Love has a mysterious way of connecting two souls, sometimes so deeply that words, distance, or silence can't truly separate them. You may have experienced moments when you suddenly think of someone and your phone lights up with their message, or when you feel a strange sense of calm just remembering their name. These experiences often make us wonder, can two people really feel each other's thoughts? Can emotional energy travel across distance? Psychology combined with human intuition suggests the answer is yes, especially when two hearts share an unspoken connection. Human emotions are not random. Every strong emotional bond leaves an invisible mark on our subconscious mind. When we care deeply for someone, our brains begin to attune to their emotional patterns, how they react, breathe, and express themselves. This process, called emotional attunement, allows two people to feel each other even without physical contact. It's why you might sense their sadness without hearing their voice, or feel lighter the moment they're happy again. Over time, the connection between two people becomes like an invisible thread, soft but powerful, stretching across time and space. Psychologically, such bonds stem from mirror neurons, the brain's empathy system. These neurons fire both when we experience emotions ourselves and when we witness others experiencing them. When two people share a strong attachment, these mirror systems become deeply intertwined. This makes emotional communication possible even in silence. That's why some people call it telepathic love, while science calls it shared emotional resonance. Either way, it's a real measurable connection built through shared feelings, memories, and trust. But it's not just about emotions. It's about timing and synchronicity too. When two people are thinking of each other intensely, their actions often align in surprising ways. You think of them, they call. You dream about them. They dream of you too. You see repeated signs, hear songs you both loved, or bump into them unexpectedly. These experiences, known as synchronicities, might look like coincidence on the surface, but they're actually reflections of two minds, tuned to the same emotional frequency. Even if you've tried to move on, such connections often linger because emotional energy doesn't vanish, it transforms. Every strong relationship imprints a unique emotional code within you, one that reawakens whenever you feel, see, or sense something related to them. That's why thoughts of them return in quiet moments, because somewhere deep inside, your subconscious still recognizes that bond. This doesn't necessarily mean you're destined to reunite. Sometimes the purpose of such a connection is growth, to teach empathy, patience, or emotional awareness. But when both people are thinking about each other deeply and simultaneously, life begins to create little reminders, gentle nudges from the universe that say, this bond still matters. In this list, you'll explore 10 powerful signs that reveal when two minds and hearts are still deeply connected. Each sign is a psychological clue that you're not imagining it. You're both thinking of each other, more deeply than either of you may realize. You suddenly feel their mood without contact. You may have noticed moments when you suddenly feel a wave of emotion that doesn't seem to belong to you. Maybe sadness, excitement, or anxiety that appears out of nowhere. Psychologists believe this could happen when two people share a deep emotional connection. Your mind becomes subconsciously attuned to the other person's emotional frequency, creating what's often called emotional resonance. When this bond is strong, your body and emotions may react to subtle cues or energy shifts from that person, even when they're not physically around. This phenomenon is sometimes described as empathic mirroring. It means your subconscious is picking up on emotional signals that your logical brain can't explain. You might be sitting at work, suddenly feeling low, only to find out later that the person you care about was going through something difficult at that exact moment. This isn't magic. It's emotional sensitivity heightened by love, attachment, and shared memories. Such deep emotional tuning usually happens when two people have spent significant time connecting emotionally or mentally. Your nervous system over time learns their patterns, their tone, energy, and even silence. So when something shifts in them, you sense it. It's as if your heart developed an invisible radar tuned specifically to their frequency. While it might sound mysterious, it's actually a reflection of how powerful emotional bonds can be. The brain's mirror neurons respond to familiar emotions, recreating the other person's feeling inside you. This makes you feel their mood as if it were your own. When you catch yourself suddenly feeling something that connects to them, it could be a sign that your bond still carries emotional depth, that you're both, on some level, emotionally aware of each other, even from a distance. You see repeated signs or synchronicities about them. Have you ever noticed their name appearing on random billboards? A song you both loved suddenly playing, or their birth date showing up on a clock, 11/11, 7/07, or maybe the exact day they were born. These are known as synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem to follow no logical explanation. Psychology suggests that when someone occupies a deep space in your subconscious mind, your awareness becomes hypersensitive to anything connected to them. It's not that the universe suddenly changes, it's that your mind starts filtering the world through the lens of that emotional connection. This phenomenon is called the Baader-Meinhof effect, or frequency illusion. Once your brain tags something as emotionally significant, like a person, it starts noticing every trace of them in your environment. But when two people are mutually focused on each other, the pattern feels stronger, almost magnetic. You might both notice the same number sequences, songs, or symbols around the same time, and that shared awareness reinforces the idea that your minds are aligned. Many people describe this as the universe sending signs, but from a psychological perspective, it's more about emotional focus and energetic resonance. When you can't stop thinking about someone, your subconscious scans the world for reminders, and when that person is also thinking about you, the synchronicities feel multiplied. Still, these signs can hold emotional truth. They remind you that certain connections go beyond casual attraction. If you keep encountering moments that link back to them, seeing their initials, hearing their favorite phrase, or bumping into shared memories, it's your inner world trying to tell you something, that their presence hasn't left your energy field yet. These repeated signs are gentle reflections of mutual focus, showing that thoughts and emotions between two people can ripple outward in ways that feel both mysterious and deeply personal. You dream about each. Other often dreams have a mysterious way of revealing what our waking minds try to hide. When you repeatedly dream about someone, especially someone you share a deep emotional connection with, it often means they still occupy space in your subconscious. But when both of you dream about each other, sometimes on the same night, or with eerily similar details, it suggests a stronger psychological and emotional bond that transcends daily thoughts. In psychology, dreams serve as a bridge between conscious and subconscious emotions. When you miss someone or feel emotionally tied to them, your brain continues that unfinished connection in your sleep. It's as if the mind creates a private meeting space, a dream world, where emotions can communicate freely without words, distance, or time. Even if you haven't spoken for weeks or months, the emotional energy between you may remain active, shaping vivid and realistic dreams that feel more like memories than imagination. Researchers call this emotional imprinting. When two people share intense experiences, love, heartbreak, laughter, or pain, their brains store those emotional patterns. So when you dream of them, your mind isn't just recalling random scenes. It's replaying emotional imprints, trying to process or maintain that bond. Interestingly, mutual dreaming isn't just coincidence. When both people experience it, it often reflects mutual longing or unresolved emotions. It can mean you both subconsciously reach out to one another in a safe, symbolic realm. You might wake up feeling peaceful, nostalgic, or even emotionally drained. All signs that your mind is responding to real emotional energy. If you find their face appearing night after night, it's not just fantasy. It's your heart's reminder that deep emotional connections don't disappear when you fall asleep. They find new ways to speak through the quiet language of dreams. 4. You think of them, and they instantly message or call. It's a familiar yet astonishing experience. You're sitting quietly, lost in thought, and suddenly their name flashes on your phone. You hadn't spoken for days, yet the moment you thought of them, they texted or called. This moment feels almost supernatural. But psychology and neuroscience offer fascinating explanations for why such emotional coincidences happen. When two people are emotionally close, their thoughts and emotional states tend to synchronize over time. Psychologists call this emotional attunement, the process by which two minds learn each other's rhythms. Your brain becomes finely tuned to their behavioral patterns, even predicting their actions subconsciously. So when you start thinking of them, it may not be a random thought. It's your subconscious picking up subtle emotional cues or memories that align with their own mental state at that moment. From a psychological point of view, This can also be linked to interpersonal synchronicity. It's the same phenomenon that makes couples finish each other's sentences or best friends text the same idea simultaneously. When emotional energy flows strongly between two people, thoughts often overlap. The brain stores emotional associations so deeply that one person's thinking triggers an intuitive response in the other. Some people describe this as telepathic connection, though it's more accurate to view it as emotional resonance. Your mental and emotional frequencies match at certain moments. You may feel an urge to reach out just as they're doing the same, as if your inner timing is synchronized. The more emotionally intense the bond, the more these coincidences occur. It's not magic, it's connection. So the next time you think of them and they suddenly appear on your screen, see it as a quiet reminder that emotional bonds can transcend silence, space, and logic, carrying signals that only two attuned hearts can sense. You feel an unexplained calm or warmth. When you think of them sometimes, simply thinking of a person brings a strange sense of peace, like a quiet warmth spreading through your chest or a wave of calm that softens your thoughts. This emotional response isn't just sentimental, it's deeply psychological. When someone has made a lasting emotional imprint on you, your brain releases subtle waves of comfort chemicals, like oxytocin and dopamine, whenever you recall their presence. These chemicals are associated with safety, affection, and emotional bonding. Psychologists call this phenomenon emotional conditioning. Your mind learns to associate that person with feelings of comfort, protection, or happiness. So even if they're not physically around, your nervous system reacts as though they are, soothing your stress levels and slowing your heart rate. This is why a single thought about them, a remembered smile, or even hearing their name can trigger warmth from within. But what makes this truly special is when the feeling seems mutual. If two people are still emotionally connected, they often experience similar waves of calm around the same time, as if their emotions are quietly mirroring each other. It's a subtle form of emotional resonance, where both minds respond to shared memories and energies without any direct contact. This warmth is more than nostalgia. It's a sign that their presence still lives in your emotional system. The bond may have evolved or changed, but part of your heart still recognizes them as a safe space. You might feel this during quiet moments, before sleep, or in times of stress. Moments when your subconscious reaches for stability, and their memory provides it. Feeling that gentle peace isn't weakness. It's proof that real connections leave emotional fingerprints. When your heart feels calm just by thinking of someone, it means your soul still remembers the harmony that once existed, and perhaps still does. You randomly remember small details about them out of nowhere. You remember the way they used to laugh, the exact shade of their favorite shirt, or how they always stirred their coffee twice before taking a sip. These small, vivid details resurface without reason, and they often do so when emotions are still quietly active beneath the surface. Psychologically, this happens because the brain doesn't store memories in isolation. It stores them with emotional tags. When someone means something to you, even seemingly ordinary moments become imprinted in long-term memory with emotional significance attached. These random recollections are the mind's way of revisiting emotional patterns. They usually appear when something, a smell, sound, or even silence, triggers those stored associations. For example, hearing a song you once listened to together may awaken a flood of memories you thought you'd forgotten. This process is called involuntary memory recall, and it's often strongest with emotionally charged relationships. But when both people are thinking of each other, these memories can surface almost simultaneously, as if the emotional connection stirs them awake from both ends. It's not telepathy, but a form of shared emotional timing. Your brains were trained by the same moments, so they respond to similar triggers even after separation. What makes these memories powerful is their tenderness. They aren't the grand events. They're the subtle, everyday details that the heart quietly treasures. Remembering them without trying is a sign that the person still holds psychological space within you. Your mind isn't obsessing. It's acknowledging emotional residue that still exists. When you find yourself smiling over small memories that resurface uninvited, take it as a quiet message from your subconscious, a reminder that genuine connections don't fade in straight lines. They echo softly through details so small that only your heart notices, keeping the bond alive in the most human, beautiful way. You feel their presence around you. Even when alone, there are moments when you're sitting quietly, maybe reading, walking, or lying in bed, and you suddenly feel as though they're right there beside you. You can almost sense their energy, their voice, their familiar comfort in the air. It's not imagination. It's a psychological and emotional phenomenon rooted in how the mind processes attachment and sensory memory. When we form deep bonds with someone, our brain records not just their face or voice, but their energy, their rhythm of speech, the warmth of their gaze, the sound of their footsteps. Over time, these impressions become deeply embedded in the subconscious. So even when they're gone, your mind can recreate their presence as if to comfort you. It's your emotional memory reaching out to fill a space it once knew so well. This sensation is also linked to what psychologists call phantom presence. It's similar to how people feel their phone vibrate when it hasn't. The brain responds to expectation. When the emotional connection is powerful, that expectation amplifies. You might turn your head thinking they called your name or feel a sudden chill, warmth, or peace that reminds you of them. These sensory echoes are your nervous system's way of acknowledging emotional attachment that hasn't fully faded. But when the connection is mutual, these moments of presence can overlap. They may also think of you at the same time, creating what feels like an invisible thread of energy between both hearts. Feeling someone's presence isn't delusion or fantasy. It's emotional residue, proof that your bond was meaningful enough to be recorded in your senses. When it happens, it's your mind's gentle reminder that deep connections don't vanish. They linger, silently, like soft shadows of love that time can't completely erase. You keep running into each other or crossing paths, sometimes. No matter how large the world feels, you keep finding yourselves in the same places, at the same cafe, on the same street, or even scrolling through each other's social media at the exact same moment. It feels almost scripted, as if fate is quietly arranging these coincidences. Psychology, however, offers an intriguing explanation for this pattern. It's the interplay between focused attention, emotional energy, and environmental awareness. When you think deeply about someone, your mind becomes attuned to their patterns. You start noticing things connected to them more easily, where they go, what they post, who they talk to. This heightened awareness, known as selective perception, subtly guides your choices. You might decide to visit a place without realizing that a part of you was drawn there because of an emotional association. Likewise, they may experience the same subconscious pull, leading to these repeated chance meetings. But there's more to it. Emotional bonds create psychological alignment. When two people are still energetically connected, they tend to move through similar emotional rhythms, craving the same spaces or seeking similar comfort at the same time. That's why, even after distance or silence, your paths continue to cross. It's as though your internal clocks are still synced. Many describe this as the universe's way of sending a message, and in a sense it is. Whether through emotional intuition or subconscious decision-making, your connection keeps creating small overlaps that are too precise to ignore. Each encounter becomes a quiet reminder that the thread between you hasn't been fully cut. You might walk away thinking it was just coincidence, but deep down, part of you knows it wasn't random. When souls are still intertwined, the world has a strange way of bending just enough to make sure they meet again, even if only for a moment. 9. You feel restless or uneasy. When they're upset, there are times when you suddenly feel anxious, heavy, or unsettled, yet nothing in your own life explains it. Later, you discover that the person you care about was going through something difficult at that exact moment. This isn't coincidence. It's an emotional phenomenon known as empathetic resonance. When two people share a strong emotional bond, their nervous systems can subconsciously mirror each other's emotional states, even from a distance. Psychologists describe this as a form of emotional contagion, where one person's emotions are felt and reflected by another without direct communication. It's most common in relationships built on deep empathy and trust. Over time, your body learns their emotional patterns, their tone, breathing rhythm, and the subtle ways they express stress. So even if they're far away, your subconscious can sense a disturbance in that emotional rhythm, triggering unease within you. This restlessness isn't just emotional, it's physical. You might feel pressure in your chest, sudden mood changes, or difficulty focusing. Your body reacts because it recognizes that something isn't right in the emotional field you share with them. It's as if your mind whispers, "They're not okay," before your brain can explain why. When two people are emotionally synchronized, distance doesn't always weaken the bond. Their pain can echo through the invisible thread connecting both hearts. This is why you may suddenly feel drained or distracted when they're upset. Your emotional radar is still tuned to them. Feeling uneasy when they're hurting doesn't mean you're obsessed. It means your empathy remains alive and active. It's a sign that love, in its purest form, still lingers beneath the surface. A connection so deep that your heart recognizes their storms before your mind even knows they've begun. You both try to move on, but somehow keep coming back. No matter how much time passes or how far apart you drift, something always seems to pull you back together. You might meet new people, change cities, or even convince yourself that you finally let go. Yet a simple message, memory, or glance reignites everything. This isn't weakness or fate playing tricks. It's the psychological imprint of a bond that was never fully resolved. When two people form a deep emotional connection, their brains create what psychologists call attachment loops. These loops store emotional memories, comfort patterns, and even pain associated with that person. Over time, when you feel lonely, nostalgic, or vulnerable, your subconscious revisits those stored feelings, because that person once represented safety, belonging, or emotional intensity. The mind doesn't distinguish between past and present. It only seeks familiar comfort, but what makes this sign powerful is when it's mutual. If both of you keep circling back through calls, dreams, or chance meetings, it means the emotional thread still exists. You may both feel unfinished, as if something important was left unsaid. This pull often comes from emotional reciprocity. When two hearts are still attuned to the same wavelength, even after time and distance. You might try to move on logically, but emotion doesn't follow reason. It lingers in memories, songs, scents, and quiet moments when you least expect it. Sometimes, coming back isn't about rekindling romance. It's about understanding, closure, or a connection that refuses to fade until its purpose is fulfilled. So when life keeps intertwining your paths, don't see it as coincidence. It's your shared energy reminding both of you that some bonds aren't meant to disappear. They evolve, pause, and return, not to restart the past, but to show that certain souls recognize each other beyond time, logic, and distance.